Hey everyone, welcome to episode 1 of Surf Coaching. Today we're looking at a Group 1 run on Surf Aurora by Profile. First up, I just want to show you his run, and then right after that we'll jump into the world record run by Kusha. And I'll talk a little bit about the map while we watch those. So first up, it's a tier 3 map, 6 stages. There's nothing super technical, but hitting things perfect, getting the right angles, getting a lot of speed, can be pretty frustrating. There's no super difficult shortcuts. There are a few that you should go for, that you probably need to if you want to land the group 1, but nothing absurd. There are some pretty frustrating gaps that are very easy to undershoot or overshoot, and you can ruin your time completely if not outright fail just by overshooting a gap. And there are drops between stages as well. For the most part, you don't have to worry about them. The flow of the map, I guess, handles it pretty well on its own. You can get lucky or unlucky with them though, which can be pretty frustrating as well. This is also one of my maps on my secret list of maps that I like going for a good time zone. I think this is a map that if you run it and you run it a few months later, you can check your rate of improvement. You can really see yourself improving. It's a very good map, I'd say, to practice on, to go for group 1 on. So the reason I chose this run to review first is, well, honestly, because I'm the most familiar with this map out of the ones that have been submitted so far. Those are probably the ones that'll take the most priority on as far as getting reviews out. I do want to get to everyone that sends in runs, but there are quite a few already even. So that may not happen, I'm sorry. I'll do my best though. And just a reminder, I've gotten a few runs that I can't really use because they don't have clearly visible speedometers, and I know it's pretty nitpicky, but it helps me a lot to tell you where you can have more speed, and it can be pretty indicative of what you need to improve on. So please remember to have a clearly visible speedometer with your horizontal units per second on it, not your overall units, but your XY speed. Okay, so from here we're just going to do some live recording. I'm just going to screen capture and we're going to walk through the run, and we'll flip over between the videos and go into the game if we need to. So start with stage 1, and right away you can notice something a little bit strange. You jump a little bit far back onto the ramp. In fact, I'm going to go into the game right now even. And if we go to stage 1, this here, if I do show zones, I don't know if it'll actually show it. Yeah, there it is. It's a fall zone. So you don't have to worry about cutting the ground at all, like I talked about in my pre-strafing video. You can literally just jump out and be as comfortable as you want and go wherever you want, which is useful because since you're only on this ramp for a very short amount of time, and the only purpose on this ramp is to get to the next ramp, which is down below you, you kind of want to stay high on this ramp and also spend as little time as possible. Now what that means is instead of boarding it really smoothly, getting a good, clean whatever on it. What you want to do is kind of gun it right to the front of the ramp. Oops. I've got a couple teleport binds set up right now that I probably shouldn't have, but right to the front of the ramp and just ride it to get over and off of it as fast as possible. If I go back to the video, you kind of go right down the middle of the hole and ride more of the ramp than you need to, and you also, this is very small, but you go a little bit low on the ramp when you also don't need to do that. The other big thing on stage 1 anyway, is right here, and I don't know why you did this, but you turned the wrong way onto the first ramp, and that's bad for your speed, and also you're making it harder on yourself, just because if you do that, you have to ramp strafe. Right, you turned left where you had the room. In fact, it looks like you were going to right here. It looks like you're setting up to curve around and go like that onto the ramp, which is what you should be doing. But then you kind of turn back around. I'll show you on Kusha's run, which is this one. And he goes to the other side. So, but it's the same principle, right? You turn around and you board on the apex, and that way you get a cleaner board. There's less ramp strafe work on you. It sets up a better angle. Now, one last thing on stage 1 is your end here. You dip pretty low, which isn't a huge deal, but the way you flick off, you go too high. And this is a pretty tricky thing. But you spent so much time in the air there that you lost a lot of time having to fall onto the end zone. Kusha, on his run, did the optimal thing, which just really takes a lot of runs, where you go underneath the head blocker and right onto the thing, whereas you had to stall, go around it, float, and then S-drop onto it, which is just a lot of hang time, and that's probably where most of the time that you lost in Stage 1 was from. The other stuff isn't so critical, but floating so long before the end zone, that is a big time loss. Stage 2, start looks pretty good. The only thing is you don't have a lot of speed here. You could have more speed here. You have 836 it looks like, and Kusha 880. Call it 890. It's not super important. As long as you make it to the ramp, you're good. But the other thing I noticed, and Kusha doesn't do this on his run either, which kind of bothers me. The only reason you're b-hopping this is to get to this ramp. So, it doesn't matter a whole lot looking at Kusha's run, but on your run, you hardly make it to the ramp, right? You want to, looking at where you're setting up on this ramp to go to the next ramp, you want to slide down and fall off and come to the next one, right? You don't want to be leveling off and then spending a long time falling to this one. You want to just be sliding right off onto it. So what that means is you want to be high on the ramp. And because of where you landed, you just can't really do that. It's awkward. What you can do to solve this is, instead of what you do here, is you leave and you go straight to the wall. Cut a little bit more to the side. Give yourself some more breathing space, right? Look at how much extra space you had. You had more space that you could have used to go a little bit off to the side, and that would have just put you further to the, I'm waving with my hands at the screen, would have put you further along the wall so that you could b-hop closer to the ramp. So that's a little thing, but it would save you, I think, a lot of time, especially on this ramp here, just because you'd have a much better angle, which would give you better speed. Here to the end, you didn't have a lot of speed, but I think that's just because of your setups. You had about 1750 there, whereas Kusha has 1950. 1950 is actually a ton of speed for that. Normally, I'm looking for around 1900, like that's a good one, but it's because he actually, on this here, this fall right here, he spends quite a bit more time than normal turning around, whereas you can kind of just, if you do it right, you can just dart around instantly and just go right to the ramp. So we'll go to stage 3 now. Oops, I just skipped that. Alright, we're going to open this up again. Ignore this, technical difficulties. And stage 3. You did the right thing here. You walked off stage 3. If you really want to, and this is probably only a couple ticks literally, but you can pre-strafe off of this, and I'm not sure if Kusha does on his run. He does a little bit. He kind of, you see how he turns, and he just gets literally 10 extra units off of that first platform. It's not huge, doesn't make a huge difference, but if you're really nitpicky. Right here, off this first ramp, you leave pretty high, and look at the stall that you have to do just to land on the next ramp at the angle you want to. You have to literally turn around to the other side of the ramp and then board it from a lower angle so that you can do that. But if you look at Kusha, I'm pretty sure Kusha did this quite well on his run. See how he leaves a little bit higher so he falls right on the ramp and then he can just get off, you know. He doesn't have to go, I think the big difference between yours and his run here is he doesn't have to go all the way to the bottom like that. Look where he leaves. He's basically halfway down the ramp, which is a much better angle to get onto this ramp. Because this is another one of those ramps where getting onto it, the most important thing is just to fall onto it, right? Like, if you don't, and I think if we go to your run, you kind of cut over it and you're already falling, so that's fine. But you had 200 less units than Kusha did just because your setup was a little sloppier, right? With all this delaying here and then coming all the way down. This is a very tricky ramp. This is one of the ramps I was talking about. Very easy to under and overshoot. If you overshoot this one, you get a huge moonshot and you lose all your speed. If you undershoot it, you obviously don't make it. And you can get up to like 1,500 units over this that wall and onto the ramp, and that's difficult, especially on run. It's very frustrating, and it can kind of feel RNG with this first ramp. This is definitely one that you want to practice and find exactly where you want to leave on this ramp to get you the optimum angle onto this ramp down here. There's not much to be said for this here. It's pretty, Kusha had to stall for a little bit right there, which I'm sure he didn't like doing that, because that loses a little bit of time. In fact, you did it slightly better just because you didn't have to stall, but because you had less speed, obviously, you're losing time. So stage 4, did the right thing again, walked right off, no jumping on this. You went a little bit low here, so what that means is instead of falling onto the next ramp, you had to flick to get over the ground. If we look at Kusha's run, you know, he does the same things here, but on that second ramp, he actually flicks very slightly up so that he gets onto this a little higher up, and that way he doesn't have to flick just to make it over the ground and fall onto the next one. It's pretty subtle. In fact, is this your run? It looks like you had a very good setup for it onto the second ramp, and then you just didn't really flick much off of it, which means you just spent a lot more time falling. This ramp, this is my least favorite ramp of the whole map, honestly. And you took it pretty well. The only thing is, because you didn't have a lot of speed, just because of not great ramping right here, because you didn't have a lot of speed and you boarded it slightly late, you had to do this. And I'm sure I don't have to tell you this, but this is not the route, right? If we look at Kusha's run, where he has a little bit more speed, a little bit more height, he's able to B-hop off that light, which is auto B-hop, by the way, and fall right into that. And this is actually what my tellies were set up for. Oh no, the map changed, and you can't even see it anyway. But that is one of the cases where the drops on the map do matter. So you come in here, he sinks right to the ground, whereas on your run, you fall very slowly just because of the drop. It's actually, I think, and I could be wrong about this, I'd like to test it, but of course the map changed on my server. It's actually slightly faster for the stage run to do it your way. Possibly, again, I'm not sure about this, or at least insignificant, but because of the drop, it's quite a big time loss. And now I want to show Kusha's start on stage 5 because it's beautiful. Look at that, barely cuts over the tower right there, right? And if we look at it again, look at his form. He boards on the apex, dips low, but rides pretty straight along this and then right off. See that? He curves away right at the very end, just a little bit, so that he doesn't go flying up and get a huge moonshot. And he has pretty much perfect speed for this. Getting over the wall with close to 1400 like that is absolutely beautiful. That is one of the hardest parts of the map, and you didn't do it very great. You had a big moonshot there and lost a lot of speed. I'm guessing, ignore the cuckoo clock in the background, I'm guessing, and you probably know this if you've been running the map for a while, but trying to get off this ramp, it ramp glitches you like 50% of the time, and it's extremely frustrating. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say you were safing it just by doing it the way you did. And it looks like your form is pretty good. It's just that your angle off of it was bad. But you do the same thing. You get on, you ride pretty straight, and then you get off. Coming down here, cross over this. Definitely cross over this ramp. I know it's not your preferred side of the ramp to ride on, but it makes a huge difference. You get a lot more speed, and it makes the next shortcut, which is probably, in my opinion, the hardest shortcut, even harder than stage 6, the hardest shortcut on the map. Just directing the end. And of course, for those who don't really know this map very well, you probably need to paint which sides of the wall you want to be going over. Because of this, you need to be landing, I'm waving at my screen again, you need to be landing sideways, parallel to those B-hop platforms. Or, what is it? Yeah, so you need to be, moving in on this side of it. If you go in from the other sides, then you just don't have the space and the speed to get the shortcut. So that's Kusha's run, and you hit it, but look at this, you have 950 or 975 units over the wall, and it wasn't a moonshot, it wasn't bad. In fact, it was pretty good, pretty clean execution of the shortcut, just not as fast as it could have been. And one more thing, actually, because you didn't cross over, you spend a lot of time on this ramp. There's just looking at it, that was 0.5 seconds on the ramp, but if we look at Kusha with the crossover, there's really no need to be spending long on that ramp at all. In fact, he spent more time on than I would have liked even. It's just a matter of get on the ramp and get off of it as fast as possible. You don't need speed. The only thing you need speed for is to land the shortcut, and if you land the shortcut, you're golden. It really doesn't matter what your speed is. It's just a little bit easier with more speed. So, stage 6 is the other shortcut on the map, I guess, the other notable one. And it can be pretty frustrating. It's not easy. It takes some getting used to. And on your run of the map, I have the audio off, but I heard you had a little gasp after you made it. I don't know if it's just because you hit the group 1 or because you hit the shortcut. But every time I hit the shortcut, it's kind of relieving, just because the boost on this ramp makes it extremely awkward to get the right flick off. And you did it, and that's good. But let's talk about your execution of the stage overall. Actually, I'm going to show you Kusha's and show you one thing I don't like about what Kusha did. Right here, he rides, and I'm pointing at my screen again, I gotta stop doing this. He rides all the way off the end of the ramp before, like, he doesn't leave early. Now what you can do, and I really wish the map was on, so I could show you this, but I can't. What you can do is you can kind of flick off of it slightly before the end of the ramp, right about here. Just do a little flick, nothing big, a little flick, and then fall into the hole instead of riding all the way off the ramp. It just gives you a little bit better angle onto the next ramp and sets you up better for the shortcut. But if we come to yours, we'll go through your whole stage 6, because the other thing I should point out is you didn't b-hop, you didn't pre-hop it. And this is, I don't know why KSF allows it. And the other weird thing is there's no auto b-hop here, but the world record run does pre-hop it on the run. That is the standard, and it's allowed. So you should do it. And right here he has, call it 1010 units. Normally with a good one and a perfect b-hop, you can actually get 1060 even on run, not just world record stage. Whereas you walking all the way up and with no pre-strafe, no air strafe onto the b-hop, you spend more time on the ground, just a little bit more walking distance, and you have less speed. So I would definitely recommend do the b-hop. That's gonna make a difference. Otherwise though, stage 6, there's not a whole lot to it. You did the shortcut just fine. It could have been faster. There is different degrees of success to this shortcut. You probably could have turned a little bit earlier even on yours, just because of the height you had. Kusha's is great, except he turned a little bit late as well. But look at his angle up through, right? He barely scrapes underneath the wall, and he could have ripped to the right and gotten right up. The end zone is on the stairs. It's not at the top, so you don't really have to worry about, having a perfect angle up. The only thing you don't want to do is hit the side of the stairs and lose all your speed, because then you'll lose some time just hitting the end zone. It's literally maybe half a second or something, which is pretty significant. So overall, it's a clean run, but there is improvements to be made, and some of these things are a lot more nitpicky than others. I'd say the biggest things, let's think about it. Stage 1, definitely, if we can ever find stage 1. Stage 1, definitely cross on this ramp, and if you don't hit the optimal end where you go under, or if you have to, okay, the metric I use is if I have to S-drop onto this thing, then I just restart, because it's not worth it. So what I'll do is I'll gun it over, and if it teleports me, great. If not, restart. Stage 2, I'd say again, cut a little bit to the right and work on getting a little bit more speed off of that first ramp. And then the same thing here. This is probably your biggest time loss on stage 2, and it affected your next ramp as well. Try to land higher on that one so you can fall right onto the second one instead of ramping onto it, kind of, if that makes any sense. Stage 3, it's the hardest stage, in my opinion. This is the stage that drives me nuts the most. Again, try to get a better angle off of the first ramp onto the second ramp, and it'll set you up so much easier to get, because the thing you don't want to do is ride all the way onto this ramp here. You want to leave on this one. That is the shortcut. But if you have to ride all the way to the bottom, it's kind of moot. It doesn't really help. So definitely try to get a better, and the only reason you had to ride all the way to the bottom was just because of your angle onto it. So if you work on your angle onto it, you'll find a lot more success. Just try to fall onto the ramp better. Here again, you want to land, or you landed very well on the second ramp, but you want to flick just a little bit off and land higher on this one. Again, so you can fall right onto the next ramp. And like I said, I hate that ramp so much because it feels very random to undershoot, overshoot, whatever. I think it would benefit you to safe it a little bit and actually land a little bit earlier on the ramp. Now, landing early on ramps means you're spending more time on the ramp and you're not going as direct as you could be. But in this case, with that ramp, I would suggest it. It's not going to lose you a ton of time. Stage 5, big thing is your moonshot here and you don't cross over. Crossing over will let you leave that ramp a lot sooner, and the moonshot is just time lost. Stage 6, definitely do the B-hop. Gives you an extra, free 100 units if you do it well. If you want to try my tip on leaving that ramp early, I think that can help a lot. Especially, it just makes it the end easier in my opinion, and it can give you a little bit more speed. But I think that's mostly everything I have to say. Anyway, guys, I think that's all I've got for now. Please let me know what you think. If the format makes sense, if I need to go slower, say more, I can say less. Just please do tell me, because I want to make a thing out of this. And keep sending me your clips if you have any questions on what you can send. Either send an email to beetle179surf@gmail.com or put it in the comments, and I'll try to get back to you on that. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.